Congratulations on the fine season to U of M women's basketball. They fall the third-ranked Wolverines last night to Louisville, number 1 seed. Lady Cardinals move on. Our teams are all done now in Michigan. You can put a cap on it. Final Fours are still to come, but nobody left from the Great Lakes State. I'm sorry to say, but it's the way it goes, and it happens like that many years. But we had some good runs this year, I think especially by U of M on the men's side, which surprised me a little bit, and on the women's side, which didn't surprise me nearly as much. So, we've got our rearview mirror to look in with our teams. We've got our current moment, which is switching over to spring sports, and that would be baseball, the Tigers, right? And then we've got what's coming down the road. Well, that's just in the day-to-day temporal. What about in your life? What about the 3 dimensions of your life? I don't want to be like Rod Serling here. You're about to enter another dimension beyond time and space. But you do have 3 dimensions. You got your present. That's right now, the here and now. You've got your past, and that's documented to a certain degree. And then your future. How do you live properly and with adequate adherence to each one of those without being buried in the past or banking too much on tomorrow? Let's talk to the good doctor about that today. John Braccio, Regional Psychological Services of East Lansing, and the podcast always at drjohnb.com. Good morning, here in the here and now. Good morning, my friend, and welcome back.
Well, good morning to you too, Dave. I guess balance is the key. We may not think about it, but we regularly live life in the present, but spend much of the time thinking about the past or future, and not always enjoying the joys of what we can have if we put the 3 dimensions together. And I guess in order for a person to really be successful and happy, they've got to be able to adapt to the present, enjoy its experiences. We live it every day. But we also have to remember the past for the good times with lessons learned, while keeping in mind the future goals one must prepare for. And when the 3 time dimensions are working together for someone, they can really enjoy life with the memories and lessons and really just enjoy life. Unfortunately, too many people can't do that. If you live in the past, you really don't have a present or future because you're just living in old memories, whatever it might be. And if we're living in just the present, we're really not enjoying memories or things from the past, and we're also not preparing for the future, which could certainly lead to a problem when we're looking for advancement or looking for dreams if we haven't really prepared for them. And then if we just live in the future, we're just kind of putting off whatever joys we might be having for some mythical or some future goal that we may or may not reach, but we certainly don't enjoy ourselves along the way. So it really is good to get back to Aristotle's old summum bonum, trying to get some balance between the 3. And if you think about it, people that really are generally happy and successful, they use the past as a gauge for lessons learned and from good memories. They don't want to focus on the negative memories, but focus on things that can really float their boat, if you will. And they live in the present. They're enjoying the present. They're doing their walks. They're loving people. They're caring for people. They're experiencing people. And then, but where they're also preparing day to day for dreams and things and preparing for the future. So if you can work the 3 together, you're just going to be much, much happier, and you'll be able to lead a more balanced life, a very balanced life, actually, if you do it right.
I woke up this morning, Doc, to, and this happens, I get emails, from the family that's 3 hours behind on the West Coast. So I'm sleeping. I wake up, and here's what I find this morning. My niece, magna cum laude. I'm very proud of her.
Very nice.
I'm so excited for this. But there was also the grandmothers weighing in saying, I wish that, and then naming, my father and her other grandfather were present to see this. So then now I'm taken back to the past, and I think about that for a moment. But then I think about the future, that she's, I feel better about the future knowing that kids like this who work hard are in it. So to me, that encapsulates all. I'm not going to focus on too much that my dad and her other grandfather aren't around to see it. But I am excited for the moment that she's gotten this and to congratulate. And I'm excited for the future. It's not my future, but it's somebody around me. I think, to me, that's a good way to stay grounded without overdoing it in any one particular aspect. Or am I off base there?
I think you're completely right, because you're working the 3 together. And I think you can let your niece know, always remember the past, remember the grandparents and
Sure.
what they did, the sacrifices they made, the values that they presented
Bingo.
and promoted.
Bingo. Right.
And basically, even though they're not here, their spirit lives on. And that is using the past in the present as now, but preparing for the future. In this case, your niece, because she's achieved very well, and she will continue. She will continue doing the same thing as she moves into her future. So, yes, that would be using the three. And I think we sometimes underestimate what happens to people that just live in one dimension. If you're just with your video game all day, that's really not going to get you anywhere, or just enjoying the moment. And if you're not learning from the past, you're going to keep making the same kinds of mistakes you've made. And if you're just focusing on negativity in the past, then really you're not getting anywhere. And if you're focusing there, you're not going to have a present or a future. And then if you're just focusing on the future, then you're having a problem too, because you can't enjoy the now. You're just doing all this focus. And I have worked with people that have lived a whole life doing that, and then all of a sudden at the end they realize that they didn't enjoy the road. They didn't enjoy the trip. They may have accumulated or got something, but they didn't.
Yeah, that's the phrase.
Really
it's about the
enjoy it.
journey. It's great to have the goals and things you can check off on the way, but if you don't enjoy the journey, that really is kind of the plot of the book when you get to the final chapter, right? It's the stuff that happened on the way, not the last 3 pages of the book. That's really that's a big takeaway for a lot of folks, I think.
Well, that really is, and if you take into account life, you're not guaranteed tomorrow. So you hopefully can live a long and fruitful life, but you don't want to just become very ill or just die, if you will, and not have enjoyed life, enjoyed it along the way with a song in my heart, Look for the silver lining, try to move forward and enjoy today. Now, you don't forget the past, and you are preparing for the future, but on the other hand, you have to enjoy the road, and you have to see. You don't want to see an obstacle. You want to see opportunities for resolution. You want to just be enjoying the ride, if you will, the journey. And too many people really don't do that. They're too fixated in places. You can talk to someone who maybe had the worst divorce in the history of the universe, okay, and that's all they can talk about. You find out they got divorced 30 years ago, okay? So you want to be learning from the past. You want to enjoy the present. You want to look to the future. And people... I think more people than you might think don't have a balance. In fact, people listening now or thinking might say, I'm spending too much time in one zone. Okay, one of these dimensions. So you do want to get balance. Is always
is there a worse answer to that? Is spending too much time in one worse than another, or just over dwelling on one, whichever one it may be, past, present, or future? Are they all basically equal? What do you think?
Well, I'm going to say focusing negatively on the past is the worst. They all have their negativity, because if you can't get out of the past, you're not enjoying the present, and there's no future. I mean, if you're really unhappy about something that happened 10 years ago or a year ago, and it so impacts your current life, then you're not enjoying the now, and there is no future, because the now is the past, and they merge into a negative kind of a thing. Because if you're just focusing on the future, as sterile of a life as that might be for you in the present, at least you're focusing on something, you're doing something, and if you're enjoying the present, at least you're enjoying the present. But if you're focusing negatively on the past, now you can be positively thinking about the past, but unfortunately, it doesn't allow you maybe to enjoy the now. So I would say that would be my general
It's the one thing you can't change either, right? So if they're negative things, you can't fix what's already occurred. And you may make some changes in your life that will affect your future, but you can't make something unless you're great at rewriting history that's going to change the past. It's just not. You can't do it. So you shouldn't dwell on it, right?
Absolutely true. Yes, it's absolutely true. But it balanced summum bonum, getting that golden mean, enjoying it. And that's what I think you have to do, Dave, if you really think about it. I think you tried to do that. I try to do that. Sometimes if we don't watch out, we can be focusing maybe too much on looking for a future thing and not really enjoying the moment. I mean, it could be something that we have to get done in 2-3 months. There's nothing wrong with working on it, but somehow you need time outs. You need to be able to say, wait a minute, now I need to smell the coffee. I need to walk in the woods. I need to enjoy and just enjoy love, enjoy family, enjoy caring, enjoy friendships. Those are things we want to make sure we're doing, even as we are maybe working very hard for things in the future. We don't want to lose the present. We want the lessons from the past. What have we learned in life? And believe it or not, with this, we kind of joke a little bit and we talk about the video thing, but there are people that are spending so much of their time just on a video machine, just not outside, not doing things. So we definitely don't want to be wasting the present either. We want to be enjoying the present, using the past as a gauge, and looking at the future. And if we do that and we get balance, and the main thing, of course, is getting balance right now. Because the only time we have is the moment we have right now.
You're right. Absolutely. I mean, you never know when that's going to. Now, doesn't mean a great memory from the past isn't something to savor, even if it's a strange memory. Erin and I were talking off air this morning. I'm talking to her about a band that I was in 40 years ago. And, the band experience didn't end well. But while it was there, and I had a nice memory for a moment. I haven't thought about that in a while. That's great. I'm going to go find a picture. No, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll keep doing the show today instead. But, things like that can be good. Just don't sit there and I'm not going to focus on that all day long. It was funny to bring up and think about, but we have moments like that all the time. I know you do too. And you remember
did Erin
something.
Appreciate it? Did you like
absolutely.
About your band experiences?
Yes. And that will leave the band experience where it was, the hair, the shirt, everything else that happened at the time. The good doctor here, keeping things in perspective, past, present, and future. The three dimensions that we live in, and they interact all the time. How you allow them to interact in your own state of good mental health is key. Appreciate you coming on today. As always, my friend, look forward to talking to you again soon. Take care. Stay safe, Doc, okay?
Always a pleasure, Dave. Good chatting with you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
All right. We'll be back in a moment on the Morning Wake Up. Yeah, the band. Maybe we may bring the band. The pictures from that have popped up on Facebook from time to time. We might bring it back. And again, we might just let it lie, okay? We'll be back, 1320 WILS.